Hello everybody, welcome to my top 10 smallest villages of Canada. Before we get started, I just want to mention there are so many small villages in Canada that I just couldn't fit them all into one video, and I just kind of picked the top 10 most interesting ones that we could talk about. I'm sure there's more interesting ones that I didn't mention, but just for the sake of it, let's stick to my list. You know, there's so many little villages that are just so small and I just couldn't include them all, so let's get started. Number 10. Iqaluit. The population is 7,740. And it's up at the North Pole almost. It's very cold, but the summers are surprisingly very nice. Most of its community is indigenous, and they rely on hunting and fishing for most of their food because grocery prices are quite high, even though there's a Tim Hortons. Because you can imagine the import fees of getting things up there, because yeah, it's pretty far. And the name Iqaluit means the place of many fish. So there's big fishing communities everywhere. As you can see, these houses all have stilts. They're all sitting on stilts, and I think that's because when the snow melts, they don't want any flooding or like foundational damage to the houses, so they just put them all on stilts. Here's one cool one. This guy is in the middle of the sea, and it's frozen. And he's running with his dogs. Just a cool little thing you see. Apparently they use dog sleds a lot. Number 9. Goderich, or Goderich, or something like that. Population of 7,628. It's a beach town located on Huron. Huron is one of the Great Seven Lakes of Ontario, and it's one of the nicer ones as well. So this beach town is really nice. The only downside that I found to this town is it was hit by a tornado back in 2011, causing $130 million worth of damage, resulting in 1 casualty and 37 injuries. However, since then, they've made a great recovery, and the beach town is looking like paradise. Every nice beach town has their tornadoes and hurricanes and tropical storms. Just like Goderich, no different than the rest. The town's got all your basic necessities. And let's just drop in. Let's see what a neighborhood looks like. This is your average little neighborhood in Goderich. It just looks like a cute, cozy little town. Just imagine sitting there, enjoying the warm sand, swimming with your friends, relaxing. This would be a nice retirement town. Maybe I'll look into that when I'm older. Number 8. Perth. The population, 5,930. So this town has some interesting history. It was originally a military settlement of the War of 1812. Most of the military soldiers who were stationed out here in this town, they weren't paid for their service. They were just given a property for their service in this town. So many of the properties here were just given to them for free for their service. I'm not sure if that's quite fair for fighting for their country, but that's just the way it happened. And you know, you can kind of tell by the way the buildings are. It looks like an old war town. Number 7. Fernie. Fernie is a small ski resort town in British Columbia, and it has a population of 5,249 residents. Although the population is low, it can get quite crowded and busy because of its tourist attractions. So when you're in the town, it feels like a big town because there's so many people there, and there's so much going on all the time, even though it's such a small town. And the mountains in the distance just makes it so beautiful, with the green lush forests, the red fire hydrant on the right, and there's a cozy looking house right there. That's a nice house. I wouldn't mind living there. Nice house, sir. Oh, thanks. And of course, they've got a Fernie Mountain Brewing beer company. Craft beers. You can sit out on the patio, enjoy your beer while you look over the mountains. Looks quite modern too. I've actually been here a couple weeks ago. I went skiing for my first time in Fernie. They do helicopter skiing. Would you sit in here and have a beer? What kind of beer would you get? An Old Stumpy or a What the Huck? So here's a picture, he's heli skiing. There's a town. You can even get married here. Swimming in the cold. Mountain biking. Number 6. Lunenburg. Mi'kmaq First Nations was the name of the tribe who lived here. The French moved in long ago back in the 1700s and lived peacefully with the Mi'kmaqs. Around 1753, one of the first British fleets that came to North America came here and just started raiding everybody and told them that this was their land. They ended up taking over this town or settlement, and the Mi'kmaqs and the French became allies and fought back and took the town back. And the British came back and fought again. It was a back and forth battle between the British and the First Nation French allies. This was a hot fishing spot. There was lots of rich fishing villages and communities here. In the 1800s, it got really big. There's even a little skate park here on my left. No graffiti. Not every day you see a skate park with no graffiti up. Looks kind of weird. That's a cute house with a purple door. I love the colorful buildings. The lights shining off the lake. Would you come here and fish? Maybe sail a boat? Have some fish and chips for lunch off the docks? The population of Lunenburg is 2,263. Number 5. Lumby. With a population of 2,000, Lumby is a small logging town. The town was based around forestry and sawmills. I actually used to live in Lumby when I was a kid. I went here in grade 6 to an elementary school, and the elementary school was kind of at the bottom of this mountain that got mudslides all the time. I always thought it was funny because they would talk about it in school that, if a mudslide would happen one day, then, our parents could just go on a vacation and not worry about us anymore. There's that mountain right there. So if that mountain has a mudslide, it's gonna wash up all into this town. And the school is directly in its path. Here's a skate park. I used to go there after school with my friends. I would pretend I knew how to skateboard. Here's the high school that I never attended. Here's the downtown part. There's Scotiabank. You know, you got your health foods. You got a department store with the groceries in it. Got your pub. Got your liquor store. Your pub. All of your small town essentials. The liquor store and the pub. And a candy store. Well, it's actually just a convenience store, but, you know, I'll show you. Let's go down the street. Come on. So right here, I would bring like $1, and they would sell 5-cent candies. You know, I would bring $1 and get like 20 candies. It was awesome. And right here is where my best friend used to live. Right in this little house in the corner. We used to go adventuring in the forest, come home all muddy and dirty. Looks like there's a big bush here, so I can't look at the house. Come on, man. Why are you gotta be all private and secretive? I'm trying to show the world where you live. His name was Justin. He was a good guy. He had a trampoline in his yard. I made my first RuneScape character here, and it was named Sen51 because we watched Spirited Away. So I named my character after Sen. Or her name was Chihiro, but then named Sen after. I lived in this trailer right here. Not the one on the left, but that one, yeah. The light blue, grayish one. I lived in that very trailer for a year while I went to grade 6. I had a friend who lived in this house. And there was a cougar one day in the carport. And we had to wait for his dad to come home so we could go outside of the house. Good times. We used to play Red Rover there. This is a nice little restaurant. There's the Mud Hill. Number 4. Dawson City. Up in the Yukon. This was a gold rush town during the Klondike Rush. People were really trying to get up here. It has a population of 1,140 right now. But it used to be a very blooming town full of people trying to get their hands on some luscious gold. And a lot of people, what they didn't realize was it got really cold in the Yukon. It's nice in the summer, as you can tell. So they just went up there, and lots of people died from hypothermia during the gold rush because they heard it was cold, but they didn't realize how cold it was. They weren't expecting minus 30, minus 40. Maybe they were, they just didn't know how it felt. And, you know, the biggest thing was most of the money was made from mining picks. Selling mining picks, selling mining gear. You would think most of the money came from mining the gold, but that's not true. Most of the money was made selling the mining equipment. And the buildings are just so colorful up here. And the reason for that is because in the winter when it gets cold and colorless and bleak, it gets depressing. So a good way to brighten up people's moods in the community is by putting up bright buildings. You could tell the style of the buildings is very Western, very Gold Rush feely. Would be a cool place to visit in the summer. Number 3. Kiniston, either one, has a population of 743. It's a small town, as you can tell, and it's a farming town. It's all based on agriculture, and it was founded because it was on this shale bedrock, which is apparently really good for farming soil. So, you know, a bunch of these farming people took up together and formed this town. It doesn't look like there's a lot to this town. It has a school, and it has a gas station with some convenience groceries, and it has quite a few of these tractor sales places. What is that called? Agricultural equipment sales? There's a co-op right there to get your juice or whatever you need. And I'm sure these tractors are worth like $500,000 each. Like, you know, this tractor right here, I don't know what that does, but I'm sure it's worth as much as a Lamborghini. Oh, these ones for sure too. Those are some fancy tractors. I don't know enough about tractors. I've never been on a farm before. I don't know what tractors do. Number 2. Forget in Saskatchewan. Forget has a population of 55 people. And I've looked all over Google and could not find any information on it whatsoever of why they live there. Do you live in Forget? If you live in Forget, I'll give you $100 if you're watching this video. Because I want to know, why do you live there? There's nothing there. There's just a dirt road and a few houses. And apparently there never used to be a lot of people who lived here either. Like, apparently it grew. They used to have a population of 40, now has a population of 55. Doesn't even have roads, just dirt. Let's look around the neighborhood. They're probably farming here. Just a little farming town. This is probably the bar, the Happy Nun. That's the neighborhood pub. Every neighborhood got one. Every little town's got a pub. Oh, there's a church on it, apparently I missed it. I didn't see any of those stores. Number 1. Tilt Cove. This is an old mining town with 5,200 houses, but a population of 5. Do they really live there? Or do they just have a house they can't sell? Looks like I can't drop my guy anywhere except for this road. There's one lonesome road that goes to Tilt Cove. There's a shoe cove up there. I wonder what that's all about. Maybe for next video. I'll drop my guy right there. That's as close as we're gonna get to Tilt Cove. Huh, so that looks like a little dandy little road. Blurry. Come on. Let's load. And that's the road to Tilt Cove. Just a gravel road that probably no one's going down on. And as you can see, there's only one power line that goes down there. So they probably don't get a lot of power, and they probably don't have internet, and they probably don't have like plumbing or anything. And the 5 people who live there probably just visit their house once every few years to make sure it's still standing. So this last one on the list is a bonus if you're still watching. I wasn't going to make this into a town because I don't think it's a real town. Because it says there's 62 people who live there, but I don't think they actually live there. Maybe that 62 is just Santa and his helpers. I can't even drop my guy there. There's no roads. There's no like buildings or anything. It's just a military base. And you know, the soldiers who go up there, who train and protect up there, are some pretty tough sons of bitches. And they have my whole respect, doing something I could never do. To just living in tents. Little shelters. They even swim up there. Wow.